Honey, I need to talk to you about something. It's important.
What is it, dear?
I kinda think you may have been a little unfaithful to me, maybe?
How could you say such a thing?
Well, you see, some of the kids just don't look like I do.
Well, I never. There are stories celebrating the chicken's ability to lay and hatch eggs. In The Enormous Egg, by Oliver Butterworth, a chicken lays and hatches a triceratops egg. In Children of the Dragon, by Rose Esty, word I can't pronounce, a man recruits a chicken to hatch a dragon egg. Then the dragon kills the chicken. In the story of the cockatrice, there's a cock that lays an egg, which is hatched by a serpent. While those are just stories, it is true that broody hens can and will hatch a large variety of eggs and take care of whatever pops out of them. Some poultry, like turkeys, will sometimes reject babies that don't make the right noise. But, contrary to rumors, there are some turkeys that make great adopted mothers. So, if you have quail eggs on up to goose eggs, you can have a chicken hatch them. I have not personally tried having a chicken hatch quail eggs, but I've heard of it being very successful. I've not tried eggs bigger than geese eggs. This is a dragon egg. Well, okay, actually it's an emu egg. I kinda doubt a chicken could hatch it, especially since I only have 2 female emus. But I'm not confident a chicken could hatch it even if I had a male. Besides, emu eggs take 2 months to incubate, and while hens might sit on a nest that long, it seems rude to expect them to. I've had hens hatch guinea keets. I've discovered with guinea keets, the keets usually stay with their chick siblings and mother just fine. They are just one of the family. However, when they are grown, they do the whole birds of a feather flock together thing and join other guineas. This is true even if there is just one guinea keet in the chicken family. Now, chicks takes 3 weeks to hatch, and guinea keets take 4. So if you want to let the chickens raise a multiple species family, you'll need to put the guinea eggs under for a week, and then you can add some chicken eggs. That way, the chickens and the guineas should hatch at the same time. You might want a chicken to hatch guinea eggs just because the keets are usually safer and friendlier if raised by a chicken. Guinea hens tend to be a little wild and aren't always the best mothers. Some are. Overall, I not only get friendlier guineas when they are raised with and by chickens, but they have a much lower mortality rate. And they stay friendlier even after they join other guineas. One thing to be aware of when raising guineas with chicks is that guinea keets sometimes peck chicks on the top of their beaks. I often use hens to hatch duck eggs. I've found the ducklings have a higher survival rate when hatched and raised by chickens than a mother duck. I guess this is because ducklings are hardier than chicks, so the mother ducks think they don't have to be as diligent. Mother chickens know they need to shelter their young from everything. Ducks also take 4 weeks to hatch, so if you want the ducklings to have chick siblings, the duck eggs will need to be put under the hen a week before the chicken eggs. When mother ducks hatch ducklings, her babies get oil from her and are therefore ready to go in the water right away. But when ducklings are hatched in an incubator or under a chicken, they don't have that oil, so don't let them go for a swim for a while. Just use shallow water bowls or waterers so they don't get waterlogged and drown. Also, if they have chick siblings, limit how much water they get when it's late in the day, so they don't get their chickie family wet when they all cuddle up to sleep. And speaking of cuddling up to sleep, ducklings start to become independent much sooner than chicks and don't always cuddle under the mother hens, even when they are at a vulnerable age. You can't count on the ducklings to stay under their mother all night, even while they are young, so a pen would keep them safer. I have heavy breed ducks. I've tried the flying breeds and they all flew away. After losing them all to better pasture several times, I just started keeping heavy breed ducks. Since they were bred to be meat ducks, I try to limit their feed so they don't get too fat. But they are such persistent beggars. But even if I don't give them all they want to eat, they still grow a lot faster than the chicks. These 2 chicks and these 5 ducks hatched around the same time and were about the same size at hatching.
Now, the ducks are a lot bigger. I found the ducks tend to voluntarily leave the mother when they are maybe a month old, which is a really rough estimate since I'm not organized enough to keep up with it. And they eventually go on to be regular ducks and play in the water despite having been raised by a chicken. I've heard of people letting ducks hatch chicks, but I think that's a pretty bad idea because the ducks will go into the water and won't be able to understand why their young keep drowning. Chicks can swim some, but they get waterlogged in a hurry and can freeze to death even in warm weather. The biggest eggs I've ever had a hen hatch are geese eggs, and I've never tried to have them hatch more than 2 at once. Mother geese are often excellent mothers, but sometimes I'll just find a goose egg out in the yard and put it under a hen to hatch. Like ducks and guineas, geese eggs take 4 weeks to hatch, and like ducks, they grow faster than chicks. Geese tend to form much tighter bonds and have a more complicated social structure than ducks or chickens. I've found sometimes when a hen raises a gosling, it doesn't just naturally join their own kind as easily as ducks and guineas do. That seems to be true of the males, who might continue spending time with chickens even after they're grown. So I believe it's best to let geese hatch geese eggs as much as possible. With this gosling, the mother goose started sitting on her eggs, and later another goose came along and laid an egg in her nest trying to take it over. I didn't allow that. I got the invader goose off and put up a pen so the first goose could sit undisturbed. But that meant there was an egg in her nest off schedule with the rest. When all her eggs hatched, the only hope for the gosling of the invader was to be put under a mother hen. This goose was raised by a hen and mostly likes people. He also loves lettuce. If he catches me near the lettuce patch, which I keep well fenced, he demands some, or rather all, the lettuce. But I do manage to keep some for myself. I've learned that geese can't hatch duck eggs because they break them all every single time. But they will raise a baby duck. When the goose started sitting on just 2 eggs, I was worried she might not have any hatch. So I started a few duck eggs under a chicken. When the goslings were hatching, there was 1 duck egg hatching, so I gave it to the geese. I didn't need to, since her eggs were hatching, but I thought the duckling would be better off with geese than a chicken. And what happened was the duckling became a part of the family. Even after it grew up, it still seemed to spend more time with its geese family than ducks. Anyway, that's been a summary of my experience with helping create multi-species families. Hope you enjoyed it.